Hey guys, we're back with the Encyclopedia of the Ancient World, and we're going to talk a little more about the Minoans, but specifically about explosions and invasions, okay? The Minoan civilization kind of ended abruptly, and one of the things they think occurred that kind of started the downfall of the Minoans was some natural disasters, okay? The first was a volcanic eruption. And this volcanic eruption was on the island of Thera, which was near Crete, and it was around 1450 BC. And even though, the eruption was not on Crete itself, it caused some problems. First and foremost, there was a lot of ash and things that made its way there, but also it caused a tidal wave, which was a result of the volcanic activity. And this tidal wave came in and just kind of leveled Crete. It destroyed all the palaces on Crete. And then, because volcanic activity is often associated with seismic activity, there was lots of different tremors and earthquakes that continued to occur in the area, in the ocean, and on Crete itself. And so the Minoan way of life was thrown into complete and utter chaos. Just imagine, you're living your life every day, and all of a sudden, the earth is shaking, there's fire coming from the sky, there's a big giant wave that comes and destroys everything you have. Obviously, your life is in total chaos. Now, as they're struggling to survive and manage through this, a people known as the Mycenaeans, they were from mainland Greece, and they, in around 1350 BC, invade Crete. They, whatever palaces may have been still semi-standing or being rebuilt, they burn them completely to the ground. And eventually they take complete control of the island of Crete. Gnosis became the focus of the Mycenaean societies, especially around 1100 BC. They never was able to rebuild it, and that truly, once it was completely destroyed, marked the end of the Minoan society. Okay. We also have a city called Akrotiri, which was found by a Greek archaeologist in the 1960s. When he was excavating on Thera, the island where the volcano erupted, he unearthed remains of the Minoan village at Akrotiri. Okay. From here, it was completely covered in volcanic ash, and there was houses, there was frescoes, there was pottery. And because of the ash and the how fast it occurred and happened, all of it was preserved in great detail. And from these, the archaeologists were able to learn a great detail and a lot of information about Minoan life. And we get the legend of Atlantis. Okay? According to Plato, there was a thriving civilization in Atlantis, and it was a city that sunk beneath the ocean without a trace. And again, this is possibly a legend based on the Minoan society, okay? But the Mycenaeans are the ones who took over and invaded and took advantage, basically, of the natural disasters that put the Minoans on edge and began the decline of their civilization. So the Mycenaeans take advantage of that. They are named after the city of Mycenae, where evidence of their culture was first discovered. And they dominated the mainland of Greece from around 1600 BC and on. And they lived in small kingdoms based around separate cities. They never united, but traded with each other on a regular basis. So they had a beneficial arranged relationship with each other, and they shared a common language. Not exactly sure where they came from, okay? The historians aren't positive exactly where they came from. It's possible that they came from Central Europe around 2000 BC, but it's just as plausible or possible that they were just a group of Greeks that were kind of nomadically around in the area of Greece until eventually they kind of banded together and became prominent. Regardless of where they came from, once they were together and started living in cities, they got together and basically had walled cities that were built on high grounds, okay? And they called these like almost two cities. One was the Acropolis, which means the high city. And this is where all the important buildings, all the important people lived. Everything that was of importance was inside this walled city, the first city. Then there was the lower town, and this was everything outside the walls of the Acropolis, where most of the other common people lived. The Acropolis had the royal palace. It had houses for courtiers, for the soldiers, for the craftsmen. And then there was a main gateway that was decorated with two different lions. They had food and trade. The palace was the heart of the economic life. Goods and produce were stored in the Acropolis, and they were distributed around Crete or exported. The Mycenaean palace life was made up of several brightly painted buildings that were all arranged around a central courtyard. The central courtyard was very vast with lots of different things and pools and things in it. They had served as, the palace itself served as a royal residence. It served as a military headquarters. It was the administrative base for the rest of the government, and it was also the workplace for the craftsmen. Inside all these little palace compounds was a large hall, and life truly kind of revolved around this large hall. That's where the king held court. That's where a lot of the trade happened, and it was called the Megaron. We also know that the Mycenaeans had scribes and a script, and they wrote a lot of things down. And it was an adaptation of the Minoan form of writing, which we called Linear A, right? Now, this one is called Linear B. The difference, and the main difference, is the archaeologists have been able to decipher Linear B because it's an early form of Greek. And they found thousands of Linear B tablets all throughout the area. But unfortunately, most of them are not very interesting, as they just kind of give lists of all the fruits they had that year, all the stocks they had, the crafts that were for sale, and etc., etc. But nothing of real significance has been found so far. Thank you.